Ultimately, the words of the book is what's going to tell you what's really going on. Not your mind, not what your pastor says, not what your grandma says, not what your mama says, but you got to get it straight from the book itself. In the Isupk, since 1969, we go straight into the Bible and show you the truth, regardless of how you feel, regardless of what your opinion is, because it is our job to do so. It is our charge to show Israel their sins and to prophesy against kingdoms that are coming to an end. And I don't know if you realize it by now, but things are looking a little shaky across the world. They're looking shaky right now here in America.
For lo, I will save thee from afar.
The Most High says for Israel, what? What is he going to do?
I will save thee from afar.
He said he's going to save Israel from afar. Do you understand that salvation has not happened yet? Salvation is what a lot of Christians out here think that has already occurred in their lives because they get dipped into a bathtub of water and now they think they're saved. That does not mean that you're saved, because you still have trouble paying your rent. You still are living next door to your enemies, who you have to go to for everything to survive, from food to clothes to electricity and everything that you use on a day-to-day basis just to stay alive. Do you understand? Salvation has not occurred yet for you blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. We're here to tell you that salvation is coming. Salvation for you Israelites is coming. And the Most High says here, be not dismayed, I will save you from afar off. Read on.
And thy seed from the land of their captivity.
Hold on a minute. Israel's going to be saved from what?
And thy seed from the land of their captivity.
And that's where we are today, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We are in a land of captivity. We have been in this land of captivity, which has become our slavery since the 1600s, since the 1500s. You understand? When the conquistadors came over here and conquered our land, we became slaves to them. We are in our captivity to this day because we don't have our own laws, statutes, and commandments. If you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans think that you are free here in America, it is an illusion that you follow blindly. You are still trapped in this matrix called America. You are still trapped in the ways of Babylon the Great, with the homosexuality and the drugs and the partying and the indulgence in their customs and their culture. This is what is destroying us. But we will reverse these things. In the Israelite school of UPK, we teach God's laws, statutes, and commandments for those children of Israel, those 12 tribes, those of Negroid and Indian descent, native to North, Central, and South America. You understand? We are waking you up. We are here for you, not here for everybody else. Everybody else can continue about their day. I ain't telling you to stop by and listen in, but for those that want to hear what the day of the Lord looks like according to the scriptures, make sure that you lock into this truth. Read on, give me verse 11.
Verse 11, for I am with thee, saith the Lord.
The Lord is with blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. Like a good father is, he's going to correct their son. He's going to correct their child to make sure that they are punished for the things they have done wrong. And when they learn what they've done wrong and change their way, then he can finally set forth what he always meant for that person to do. Israel is meant to rule this earth. Blacks and Hispanics, you are a great people. You are the hardest workers out here. You understand? And the Most High had all this created so that you can govern it. But it has to be done righteously. And it will be done under the rulership of Yahweh Shai. Read on.
To save thee, though I make a full end of all nations.
Though I make a full end of all nations. Read that again.
Though I make a full end of all nations, whether I have scattered thee.
The Most High says that he's going to make a full end of all the nations, whether he has scattered us. Everything that you know and love in your countries is going to come to a full end by the hands of the Most High. The Most High says that in this prophecy, and it is something that has not occurred yet because all of the nations on the earth are still going about their way. Christ has not returned yet, so these prophecies have yet to be fulfilled. We are reading out of the book of Jeremiah in the Old Testament. Your Christian pastor tells you to put away the Old Testament when it's a very vital part of the prophecies of the future, just like Revelations is. You understand? Just like Isaiah is. Just like the Apocrypha is. And these are things that we have to piece back together because it has been censored from us for ages and generations. Read that again.
Though I make a full end of all nations, whither I have scattered thee.
We have been scattered across the four corners of the earth and have been trodden underfoot and turned into slaves. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians have served all other nations on all sides of the earth that we have been scattered. But the Most High is warning you that he will make a full end of the nations that we have been scattered to, so you better get ready because the status quo is ending. You understand? The way of life that we know and love and that we're so used to out here in America is coming to an end. That's why you see inflation skyrocketing. That's why you see markets collapsing. That's why you see all the food getting more expensive. And then the food shelves running out periodically. These things are going to become more commonplace. You understand? That's why there's a truck driver shortage and food isn't getting transported fast enough around the country to fill the bellies and the grocery carts of everybody. Matter of fact, $100 don't even buy you much groceries anymore like it used to in the 90s, does it? Now you end up spending $300 for that same basket of groceries, and they make the portions of those foods smaller anyways. And on top of that, the nutrients in those foods are nowhere near as good as they should be. So even though you come out with all you know, you're trying to eat organic, you're trying to eat healthy, everything is looking more bleak. And it's not because we're being negative about it, it's because the Most High says it's going to happen. And he will make a full end of all the nations where he has scattered us. Read on.
Yet will I not make a full end of thee.
Yet will he not make a full end of thee. Go ahead.
But I will correct thee in measure.
But the Most High will make sure that he corrects us so that we return back to his original instructions. Because God does not change. The scripture says, what is it, Malachi 3:6? For I am the Lord, I change not. Therefore ye sons of Jacob are not consumed. We have not been consumed, but we have been assimilated into other cultures. And the Most High is checking us.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 66, verse 15.
Go ahead.
For behold, the Lord come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind.
Behold, the Lord will come with what?
Fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind.
It says the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind. Does that sound pleasant? It doesn't. What does this sound like? This sounds like destruction. It sounds like an army, and the Most High's host is an indefeatable army. While we start to think that we are on some type of level because of the technology that we've gained in such a short amount of time, we can't even begin to fathom the capabilities of the Lord's army that has been around since the beginning of time. Who are we to think that we are on any kind of level? And especially our enemies that have kept us in captivity all these years. Your technology is not going to save you in that day. When the Most High comes to save his children, there's going to be what? Read that again.
For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind.
Go ahead.
To render his anger with fury, and his rebuke with flames of fire.
And his rebuke with flames of fire. The Most High is not playing when it comes to the day of the Lord. Upon his return, there is going to be destruction. So the question is this: who is he coming to destroy? Who is he coming to save? Because there's a purpose for all these things. And there is a reason and a repercussion that he is going to be destroying all the nations of the earth. That's why the Most High said in the Jeremiah, he says, I will make a full end of all the nations that I have scattered thee. He's telling Israel that he's going to destroy the other nations that have kept us under them. He's going to destroy those nations that have unjustly treated blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, the real Israelites that the Bible speaks of. The Israelite school of UPK has uncovered the truth of who the Israelites really are. And because we understand that, now we could go further into the Bible and find out exactly who the Most High is actually looking to destroy upon his return and who he's coming to save. Because you Hispanic brothers and sisters, you Native American brothers and sisters, the Most High has seen what you've gone through. He's seen that you've been put on the borders and cages. He's seen that you've been thrown into reservations. He's seen the black man thrown into prisons, beaten with sticks. You know what I'm saying? Knees put on their neck. He's seen the protests and how it doesn't affect anything and that nothing has changed here because we have been downtrodden. We have been defeated here in America. We have been assimilated into that culture, but that culture is coming to an end. Thus saith the Lord. He's coming with fire and chariots like a whirlwind. The Lord is not one to be messed with. And the day of the Lord is a destructive day, a day that cannot be stopped, a day that cannot be prevented. And yet, his enemies, the nations on the earth, they create space forces to try to fight against him. They try to advance their technologies and invest all this money to go to space and to collect nuclear armaments and to collect weapons of war, conventional and non-conventional, because they are preparing for that day. They are preparing for war. And they are going to war against each other because the Most High's narrative has come true to the T. I don't know if you're paying attention to what's going on right now in the Ukraine. This has been going on all year. But because it started to somewhat die down, you think that everything's on back to normal because those bombs aren't being dropped here in America. But the Ukrainians, you can't tell them that because they don't have houses to go to anymore. Matter of fact, Russia just annexed a whole part of the Ukraine, which goes against everything that NATO and the other nations try to come up with for manners of peace. Well, there's no peace right now on the earth. There is no peace right now on the earth, and Russia is being criminalized for taking land that doesn't belong to them. Meanwhile, America doesn't get criminalized, though they had taken all the land from the Native Americans, though they had taken all the land from the Mexicans. Don't you understand that that is hypocrisy that you speak of? How can you be so one-sided and only look for justice and peace when it only applies towards the benefit of you and not anybody else? Well, the Most High is turning your recompense upon your own head, Esau. Don't you understand that those things are coming full circle and the destruction to come is even partially going to be brought by your own hand? Your armies will fight each other. The Most High is bringing these things to fruition so that he can prepare for his return. Because his return is going to be more powerful than anything that you've ever seen in the world. Zechariah chapter 5 verse 1, I'd like to go into some detail on what God's military really looks like, because you're starting to see it around the globe right now, but you're too afraid to admit it, and you sure as heck don't understand it. So you like to watch documentaries on Netflix about aliens and UFOs, but in the Bible it tells you clearly what those things are. You don't need a classified document to understand what it is. You just need to be right here on the street listening to the scriptures that we break down so that you can see what these biblical vehicles of warfare that God has set around the world are really doing. How they're holding post, waiting for the order to be given to bring fire and destruction like a whirlwind upon the earth. God's army is not one to be messed with. And you're not going to shoot it down and try to claim that Area 51 has a body of an alien grave, because that's not true. The scripture says that these chariots of fire belong to his army. These are not things that can be destroyed. They can't be contended with. You can't lock onto it with a heat-seeking missile. You can't hit it with a 20mm Gatling gun from your fighter jet. That's not going to work. It hadn't worked in the 40s, didn't work in the 50s, didn't work in the 60s, didn't work in the 70s, doesn't work today. Because God's military is powerful. This is what the scripture says about them. Read.
This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 5, verse 1.
Zechariah saw something. What did he see? Go ahead.
Okay. Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll.
A what?
A flying roll.
A what?
A flying roll.
A flying roll. Zechariah looked. He looked in the air. He saw a flying roll. What roll is he talking about? A sphere. If you have a ball like a basketball or a tennis ball, it's shaped like a sphere because it rolls. You understand? Well, imagine a flying roll. Let's get some information on what this is looking like. Read on.
Verse 2. And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll.
This is a flying vessel. This is a vehicle. Zechariah is seeing. He's going to describe what it looks like even more in detail. Go ahead.
The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the
length thereof is 20 cubits. So this flying roll that Zechariah in the Old Testament is describing is something that flies in the air and is 20 cubits in length. Do you know what a cubit is? A cubit is a measurement from the old times where you would measure your fist to your elbow. This is a cubit right here. Well, imagine 20 of those next up, lined up next to each other. That's the size of a flying roll that is being described here in the book of Zechariah. Read on.
And the breadth thereof 10 cubits.
And the breadth thereof 10 cubits, meaning the height of it. So this thing looks like an ovular, like an ovular flying vessel. This is what they describe when they talk about UFOs. When you're looking at those documentaries, when you're watching all those space movies, where they try to take that and twist it around to make it look like something that you need to take a gun and shoot at. But the truth is, this is part of God's army. This is what the Lord put on the earth. Read on.
Verse 3. Then said he unto me, this is the curse.
This flying roll is the what?
Is the curse.
Is the what?
Is the curse
Go ahead.
that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth.
And that's why you see this in South America. That's why you see UFOs in the land of Israel as you know it today. That's why you see these things flying around on these videos. Some of you may have even seen them in real life. But the truth is, the day of the Lord is coming. And the Most High is moving his units of his military around the earth to hold posts so that they are ready for the things that are going to be done shortly on this earth. It's nothing new. It's nothing new, but you like to watch these things be fantasized in movies like Independence Day, and Battle Los Angeles, and Skyline, and the list goes on and on. But the truth of the matter is, these flying rolls belong to God's army, and they are a curse that he put on the earth. For what purpose? Read on.
For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off, as on this side of
Everyone that stealeth, mind you, this whole country was stolen, right? Mind you, the land of Israel today, ran by the Israeli state, was stolen. Heck, part of the Ukraine has been stolen. There's been a lot of stealing going on this earth. And these vessels that are on post have been seeing all these things going on, calculating the judgment that is going to take place when they are given the order to attack. This isn't us that's doing it, the Most High is that's doing this. The Most High's military is these flying rolls that we're reading about in Zechariah that pertain to those chariots and those whirlwinds that are prophesied in the scriptures all throughout the Bible. Read.
According to it, and everyone that sweareth shall be cut off, as on that side according to it.
And everyone that sweareth shall be cut off on this side according to it. Meaning they're going to pay the price for swearing and saying that this land belongs to them, that it always belonged to them. But the truth is, the Most High gave every nation their inheritance and their own land. And now people started stepping on each other and taking land from one another. And that's why you're here in this country to this day, when that was not the case a couple thousand years ago. But we've gotten comfortable here. We've gotten prideful here. So many of you that think that this is a land that you truly deserve to live on, what you need to understand is that all of this belongs to the Most High. And the Most High decided that he wants he wants the children of Israel to rule this earth. And though you have been treating them wrongfully, the day is going to come where he's going to release this curse on the earth. Read this again. Read on.
Verse 4. I will bring it forth, said the Lord.
What the Most High say?
I will bring it forth, said the Lord.
Listen to that again. Who's bringing these chariots, these UFOs around the globe?
I will bring it forth, said the Lord.
These flying rolls that you see in the skies, that you see on these videos, that you see on these trivial, viral videos across the internet and on television, they are sent by the Most High. They are sent by God. We're reading it in the book of Zechariah, how these flying rolls and it's giving you the dimensions. It's explaining what it looks like.
Right.
Don't you understand that this book is so real? It's telling you the future, even though these were written thousands of years ago. And we are still seeing how relevant it is to this day, because we are seeing God's military forming and taking place around the globe to prepare for his decree. Read on.
And said the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief.
And it shall enter into the house of the thief. Read on.
And into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name.
Hold that. Give me Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9. What does that mean? It's going to enter into the house and swear falsely by his name. There is a nation on this earth. There is a people on this earth that swears up and down that they are God's chosen people, but they are not. And the Bible prophesied about this. Christ is speaking right here. What color are these words that you're reading?
Red.
And this is the what? What book are we in?
Revelation.
This is the revealing of something. Revelation is a book that's about revealing. It's not some spooky book for you to be afraid of. This is where you come to find answers about the future. And you go to the prophets and priests of the Isupk so you can learn the proper breakdowns of the scriptures. That's why we're bringing out books in Zechariah. Which one of you, has anybody even read the book of Zechariah before? Do you even comprehend what it's talking about? We're going into those books to show you the flying roll. We're going in those books to show you God's chariots. Because the day of the Lord is the day of destruction. And the Most High has a target written on somebody's head. You're going to read about it right here. Revelation chapter 2 and verse 9 says, what?
And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews.
And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews. Go ahead.
And are not.
And are not. We read in Zechariah that the chariots of the Most High, these UFOs, were going to be set at the places of those that swear falsely by his name. That's why you look in that video from 2013, the chariot hovering above Jerusalem, where it hovers and flies straight up in the air. It's a commonly seen video about UFOs. It's always documented. You see that in the land of Jerusalem because the people that are there right now swear falsely by his name. The Bible tells you that they are what?
But the synagogue of Satan.
But read again. Back up just a little bit more. Go ahead.
Which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan.
The synagogue of who?
The synagogue of Satan.
And that's what Christ was here to warn you about in Revelation. He said there was going to be a people who says that they are Jews but are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. Go back to Zechariah chapter 5. We're going to finish up there. We're going to get some more out of that because I want y'all to see that the Most High is playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. The Most High has other plans. The Most High has been setting up the day of the Lord for a long time, and you're ignoring these signs. But these signs can be explained by the priests and prophets of the Israelite school of universal practical knowledge.
Damn right.
We're talking about UFOs right now.
Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll.
Zechariah saw a flying roll in the air. Now they are identified. Today, we are unclassifying that information. Now you're going to see what the purpose is of them. Read on.
I will bring, it's like verse 4, I will bring it forth, said the Lord of hosts.
Nah, I thought it was supposed to be aliens from another planet.
Said the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief.
It shall enter into the house of the thief. Go ahead.
And into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name.
Here's the kicker. Read on.
And it shall remain in the midst of his house.
And it shall what?
Remain in the midst of his house.
Because the Most High ordered for them to stay put until the day of the Lord. Until he says for them to take action. You understand? And that's why these things are not to be played with. That's why people get afraid when they see them. But they do not understand what they really are because they think it's extraterrestrial. They think it's extraterrestrial. It's not extraterrestrial. It's extra dimensional. These are vessels sent by the Most High to hold shamar, which is what means to keep watch.
And it shall remain in the midst of his house.
And what will it eventually do? Go ahead.
And it shall consume it with the timber thereof, and the stones thereof.
And it shall what? Read that again.
And shall consume it with the timber thereof, and the stones thereof.
And it shall consume it. Remember Isaiah 66 said what? It said the Most High will come with fire and his chariots like a whirlwind. Don't you understand that God's army is what you see in these skies late at night? When you see in these viral videos, that is a part of his military might. That is what proof, what other proof do you need that God does exist when he said in his book here that these things were going to take place and yet we see them to this day. And you want to tell me that there's no God? You want to tell me that God's children of Israel don't deserve to rule the earth? Well, guess what? We are changing the minds of our youth. so that we could follow God's laws, statutes, and commandments, because we understood, even during the slave days, that these vessels would eventually be the vessels used for our salvation. Swing low, sweet chariot. You understand? Was an old spiritual sung by the so-called black man that was brought into captivity. Swing low, sweet chariot is a biblical reference, because God's chariots will one day swing low and save them from their captivity and destroy the enemies around them.
And all the host of heaven shall be dissolved.
And all the what?
And all the host of heaven shall be dissolved.
All the host of heaven shall be dissolved. What's this talking about, y'all? Because there is a heaven on this earth right now, and that heaven, so to speak, that rulership is being ran by the wrong militaries. Their hosts will be dissolved. Hold that. Give me 2nd Ezra chapter 13 and verse 3.
And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven.
This man, this powerful being right here, waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. Go ahead.
And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him.
Right, because Christ comes with that strength, and the nations will tremble at the sight of him. Read on.
Another one come. Verse 4. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice.
Say, all they what?
All they burned that heard his voice. Like as the earth felleth when it filled with the fire.
When Christ returns, his powerful presence, just from the sound of his voice, will destroy everything in its path. Don't you understand? This book is talking about the end times, the day of the Lord, the return of Yahushua. The very powerful event indeed, one that brings fear to everybody around to see it. And it will take place in that valley of Jehoshaphat, where the other nations will be assembled together to try to fight against him.
Big boot on me fringes. Girl, I tell me say she love the way how me change it. Everything sign and seal. Then I tell me say she love the deal. Yeah. Big boot on me fringes. Girl, I tell me say she love the way how me change it. If I don't know you pick my youth, me I tell you no straight out. And I'm in business, yeah. Man, I move real heavy. 20 man, I jump out a couple Chevy. Well, serious, man, no look happy. Wrong move, turn a boy in a duppy, them a waste, man. Them a talk about me, but me no care, man. After everything else, me still be upon. Judge a truth, me a talk at the truth, and the part me a sleep on. Yeah. Delivered it off fire. Everything up in the air like fire bonfire. But I can't tell ya how all of me dead soul let them have to rise in power. Liar Sha'Allah. This year what fear my brothers and my sisters. We get caught off early. Big boot on me fringes. Girl I tell me say she really love all the changes. If I don't know you picking my youth, me I tell me straight out. And